Okay, this is Screencast 11 of RCS PTM Term 3, Vectorworks classes, or screencasts. This screencast, we're going to be looking at the Fillet and Chamfer tools, which are these two tools in the basic tool palette, Fillet there and Chamfer there. So I'm going to start by drawing a rectangle. Now it's quite important, I'm not just going to do a random rectangle. I kind of need to know the size of this one for these tools, for reasons that will become obvious later. So I'm going to do, I'll do that, I'll do those steps again. So I've chosen the rectangle, corner to corner mode, started to draw the rectangle, and then I'm going to just type using the numbers at the top of the keypad, 2000, tab, 1000, enter, enter, and I've got myself a 2000 by 1000 rectangle. Zoom up on that and center it just to make things a little clearer. So it was quite important because when we do the fillet tool here, so fillet's a rounded corner, the fillet radius is really important here. So if I had a radius of like 5mm or something like that on a 2000 by 1000 rectangle, it wouldn't register and it would look like something's gone wrong. So it's quite important to know the size of the rectangle so that the radiuses and the chamfers, fillet radiuses and the chamfers when we come to them make sense. So the three tools are select this one here. We'll just create a filleted corner there. It doesn't do anything to the original rectangle, it just draws the fillet arc. So it's created an arc, see across here. Might be useful. The second one will split the rectangle. So you can kind of hopefully see if I change the colour of the fill there, you can see that it has rounded off the rectangle, made it a new shape, but it's also left these old lines here, which again may be useful for something. The third option, probably the one that we use most often, is the fillet and trim, which will do exactly the same thing, but this time it gets rid of those two extra lines that were there the first time. So that's the one that if I'm using it I would use most often. Chamfer is very similar. I don't need to go through the three options again, but again the first line and second line, so even just taking the third option, so these two do exactly the same as the fillet did. Chamfer, this one would be the one that we probably use most often. Click, click, and it trims it off. The interesting thing about the chamfer is that the preferences here, there's lots of different kinds of preferences. So you can see there's first and second lines, they don't need to be the same. We can have a 400 at this side, which would give us so it's not just, what's the word for it? It's not an equal chamfer, it's kind of it's longer in this direction, in this Y direction than it is, longer in the X direction than it is in the Y direction. So we can define the angle of the chamfer there. You could actually define the chamfer length there. So again, you should not really try these for the very first time when you're recording them, because if I get this totally wrong, then I need to go back and record it all again. But I'm going to give it a whirl, so I'm going to do the chamfer line length. So this would be a difficult thing to work out if I knew what that length was, that length needed to be. So choose this corner, and there we've got that length there is 300. I don't know what the angles are, and I don't know what the X and Y out in there is. I could have worked it out, but it's worth seeing the different options. A tool that I didn't really do in the last screencast is the trim tool, which I probably should have added into the connect and combine, but the trim tool there, I've drawn a line through this object here, and if I click on the bit that I want trimmed off, then you can see that trimmed off there, click a bit trimmed off there. So it's kind of useful if you want to trim an object. The split tool kind of may do the same thing, it's just another option. This can also be trimmed as well. You can see that that line was trimmed to any intersecting any lines that cross through. So pretty powerful if you really know what you want to do. If you want to just trim off a bit of something, there you go, no problem at all. And trim that off there and that off there, and I've now got a new shape. Be aware though that this is still two shapes. So I may want to see two objects there. I may want to modify and compose that into a single shape. That's now one polyline. Okay, so have a little play with the fillet and chamfer and the trim tool. Till the next one.